Hi guys, welcome back to the Next Rank YouTube channel, Johnny and Jack. Today we're joined by Chicago, and this is the second episode of sort of the Next Rank podcast. We're not sure if it's a podcast, but it sort of is kind of like a podcast. The first one we did was with LBP, Coach of Chiefs. We're talking a lot about Rocket League mentality, mentality in gaming. Today we're talking about your career, Chicago, specifically, and how that relates to getting good at Rocket League and staying good at Rocket League, because you're a player who's been in the the Rocket League rival series scene since way back in 2017, and now all the way till present day 2025 still competing. So that's a long career, especially in esports, especially in Rocket League. And I'm sure a lot of people want to know, actually I know a lot of people want to know how you've managed to do that, because we've got a bunch of questions at the end from our members. But yeah, Chicago, welcome to the channel. You started off your career, or at least you first came on the radar for me in Rival Series, and I forget what team it was. Was it what was your first Rival Series? Was it Fibion? I'm looking at
or was it
Dignitas?
Applesauce/Fibion. So yeah, first of all, thank you, Jack, Johnny, having me on. TNR, awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah, but I started my career off on Applesauce. First season of RLRS. We qualified, we signed under an org, but at this time, esports and being 16, we signed to an org called Fibion.
I remember.
Oh, yeah, they were. Oh, I completely forgot that.
Yeah.
So we lost our first season of, RLRS salary. I mean, it wasn't much at the time, but for a 16, 17-year-old whose first contract is starting to become an esport player, at the time, it was whoa, what am I getting myself into? My parents obviously were like, this is we are not doing this. This is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's it's a pretty funny story looking back at it now, but it was pretty brutal during those 6 months of, first becoming a part of what esports are.
Yeah, that is rough, because actually I'm just gonna jump in straight into it and throw a question. Like you said with your parents, the first kind of initial response they have to esports is this, what the hell is going on here? Our son's just gotten scammed out of the money.
Yeah.
How on earth do you did they deal with that? How on earth did you respond to that and get them to understand what it is? Because I think a lot of people, at least a lot of the questions I get in my chat from kind of the younger players that are following me in the pro scene is how do I get my parents to to kind of buy into this? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it might be different, but back then it was. And for me, I didn't really play too much video games growing up. It was only when I found Rocket League that I kind of started getting addicted and started seeing improvement, and kind of putting in more hours eventually. But before even Fibion, oh my God, telling them what I wanted to do, or this is a reality, was speaking a different language. And of course, I mean, looking back at it, my parents were exactly in the right, and everything they said was fair.
Yeah.
But when you're 15, 16, and you're okay, maybe this is something I can do, and this is, I hate to say it, but it's not one of those maybe 9 to 5s or school that people really don't enjoy. And you're okay, maybe I see a future here.
Yeah.
But then you have to explain to your parents and explain stuff that just doesn't make sense. It's a very hard conversation, but luckily, my parents were stay in school, finish high school, get good grades. You're still going to go to college. Who knows? We'll see where this goes. But, first things first, your school, everything, your responsibility. There's more responsibilities that come before Rocket League.
Right.
I was that's fair. And then, so started getting better. RLRS and stuff came around. And actually, I want to say maybe before that or after that, me and Hato, throwback, shout out Hato, my first partner, we made a 2v2 Universal LAN, which was on TV.
Oh, yeah.
It was Rocket League's
I
big
watched
break.
that, yeah.
So me and Hato made the California, San Francisco, regional, I guess you would call it. I don't really know. But we ended up having to drive, me and my dad, shout out my dad for this, looking back, it's insane. But we drove up 6-7 hours from San Francisco from Los Angeles, so I could play in this. We ended up, actually doing well enough to make the it was basically near Los Angeles, but the final event. And so I think that event or those events where my parents actually saw people like come and watch this game. Because first of all, they're like, people play stuff for a living. And then they're like, on top of it, people watch people play for a living.
Yeah.
It's like their minds are exploding. But them seeing those moments were like, okay, maybe this is real. And they're, that's when the Fibion was like, okay, we'll see again. There's other responsibilities first, but we do maybe see a light here. And then it wasn't really until, EG where kind of real contracts came and not fake contracts came, where they're like, okay, we can see a future with this, but we're still obviously going to be cautionary.
Yeah, so the Fibion, to go into as much detail as you want, so they basically just had a fake contract and didn't pay you guys? Is that like the short version of the story?
What can you say? Is this all like...
Yeah, don't
honestly... No, I don't know, man. I want to say everything. I don't think this, like, my Hato, I believe, like, I actually tried to pursue legal action. I don't know how successful he got. It was a while after, but no, I mean, it's you're 16, but looking back at it now, we were the dumbest people literally on the planet. He handed us a 4-page contract of like 2 paragraphs per thing. And if you're ever looking at a contract, especially an esports one, if it's most likely under 7-8 pages, don't even look at it, because there's so much. Like, a normal contract is going to be, in my experience, 20 to 50 pages. And that's coming from real organizations, because there's so much little, legal stuff that they actually have to take care of. So for us, we just saw a 4-page contract and obviously just didn't read it, didn't do like enough due diligence. And the guy was just an 18-year-old, I think, using his parents' money, who said he was a lawyer, like who said he was in law school. It was through his parents' money.
Days.
So, but again, like, we were 16, we were stupid. It is about everything that was a red flag was a red flag.
Yeah.
But again, at this time, when you're 16 and we want to make money and we want to like do it playing video games, we're like, give us something. Like, this is like, you're going to pay us $500, $1,000, and we're not even an RLCS yet. It's like, dude, we're living the life. Like, we're going to be rich. We're going to be so successful. And then, we get into we choke RLCS, and then go into RLRS, and we actually do very well. I think we go undefeated. But that entire time, while we're just, playing pretty good Rocket League, we're just on the other side, like, hey, bro, you haven't paid us in 3 months. What's up?
Days.
And then he goes ghost mode, or, gives an excuse, has us, maybe want to talking to someone else. We're literally like, every possible thing that could go wrong. We're like, bro, like, we're going to have to, figure some stuff out between us. Like, that's a little bit more serious. But eventually stuff kind of just trickled out where, our roster ended up changing. And some other things happened on the side that it kind of just disbanded. And we were like, you know what? We're so over this that just get us out of here. It's so toxic. It's so bad. Like, we've learned our lesson, but like, let's just get out of here and, never have to talk to this guy again. For about, I don't even remember how long it was. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year, like maybe 8. It was about as bad as a contract and like a organizational experience as you could have. So I'm glad I went through it, though. It definitely taught me a lot.
Yeah, early days, probably a good time to do that. But that's some great advice straight away, because I know a lot of people watching want to get signed to, have something. CJ told me that I don't know if he even signed a contract for this, but the first thing he ever got, like, in esports, the compensation he had to rep an org was a t-shirt. So he got paid with a t-shirt to rep an org and have the logo and the name, like the org name and all the socials, and like a lot of people just want that. They want to be part of a group or part of something. But when it comes to contracts, definitely be careful. Have your parents read it. Have somebody you trust read over it with you, because that is something you want to be more careful with. Speaking do go on.
Sorry, no, because I do, like, it happened to me. Don't even just have your parents read. If you can, reach out to someone that reads contracts professionally. Go that extra step, because again, you are signing your name on something. So you want, like, if you need to spend a little more, you can reach out to somebody. It's definitely worth it to get us like a professional opinion.
Yeah.
And also I've heard of orgs paying players way back in the day. in black market decals. So that was their salary.
Yeah.
So maybe a parallax, maybe a slipstream and a heat wave for how well they did that month. And so if that doesn't show you how bad esports was back then compared to now, then I don't. It was prehistoric.
I mean, you
then.
had Market in those kind of years paying in Alpha Boost, right?
Yeah.
I think is that public? Maybe that's not
that-
public. Maybe.
Market's got a lot of lore.
But yeah, there's definitely some good advice there. Yeah, get it checked out. I think my dad did that. I signed my first contract when I was like 17, turning 17, and it was very like a 1-page kind of thing. It was basically just like like terms, and yeah, we had to get it checked out, and it still wasn't sure if it was going to hold up, but I had no issues. It was a good experience on my end, so yeah, no issues there. That's pretty rough though, as your first kind of step into professional esports, I guess, if you want to call it that. Is that's not great, is it?
No, it was pretty bad. But again, looking back on it, it's funny. Happy I went through it. It's part of the career. Everyone goes through stuff like that.
And then about the actual rival series, you had the one. Yeah, I looked right now. You 7-0'd that season. Then you didn't get promoted,
Damn.
so you're back in rival series the next season. And that was the season you 7-0'd was actually the season that Justin was in rival series and kind of popping off and destroying everyone. And then you were, I think, like I remember vividly, and I promise you I'm not just saying this because you're here. I vividly remember you were like the next Justin, because Justin the previous season everybody was like, whoa, this guy's crazy. NRG signed him without ever playing like a single game with him. And then you the next season did pretty much the same thing. You just dominated rival series. And didn't you? Did you actually get promoted that time or not? I think you got signed the next season, just straight up. I think you just got signed into RLCS, right? You didn't, just like Justin. You guys just both you popped off in rival series and just got straight signed into RLCS.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna come up, but I'm not as clutch as I would like in my career. We'll definitely talk about that. But originally, we were kind of like this young team on the come up, and RLCS quals, like back then, I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be power rankings done by like the community on Reddit. Mm-hmm. And we actually ended up like not being any RLCS experience. People didn't really know us, but over the local tournaments, the G Affinities, the Nexuses, Astro tournaments where we'd beat pro teams, we ended up getting like the number 5 spot. So we were one of the favorites to make RLCS. Mm-hmm. We ended up losing to a team that was not great in quals. It was bad. I don't feel ashamed to say this or anything, but after we lost, I slammed my headset. I broke it. But it was just like, because, it was so much passion I had, and we had so much work. And then, not that RLRS was a bad thing, but like, it's not RLCS. It's not the big show. It's like being in the minor leagues of, a professional sports team. No one gets any points of, respect being there. So that was pretty rough. And then, first season, we go on, we dominate. Again, same issue. We don't have, the clutch gene. We don't make it through. We don't qualify. We don't promote. Mm-hmm. So the next season, we end up getting, I believe I had some offers around RLCS about potentially joining, but I didn't really think they had anything like merit where I thought we could actually succeed, or, worst comes to worst, we'd probably just demote and I'd be back in RS. So I decided Dignitas had reached out to us, and Turtle was fresh off of RLCS, and I had a lot of respect for him. So we ended up playing with him. The season just didn't really go that well. We ended up, I think, getting 4th. So not having a chance for promotion. But yeah, like you said, I was able to just, at the time I was just trying to get better, trying to, like I said, I want to get to the pros. I want to be one of them. Mm-hmm. So I just kept working. I kept practicing. I didn't really the 4th place. Didn't really this game isn't for me. I was like, I can still do this. I know I have the capability in my head. So after that, I started, getting some offers, trying out with a couple teams. And fortunately, EG reached out to me, and that was my first actual team in RLCS, season after Justin.
I just want to jump in there quickly. You mentioned that you struggled, initially with that kind of clutch factor, and you just couldn't kind of put it all together. Was there any, we're jumping ahead here, but was there any point in your career that kind of did at least improve? And was there anything conscious that you did that, improved that, that people could kind of learn from? Or was it just, the experience and just kind of getting comfortable with yourself and learning more about who you are as a player, and then it kind of just comes naturally?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's huge is competing online is like a very entirely different thing than competing against someone face to face or, in a real sport. So competing online is like, like I said, when I smash my headset, like I'm just there in my room, like by myself. And then of course, like, you can go hang out with parents after, but you're not like, you don't shake anybody's hand after. So it's kind of like a mental battle where you just have to go through it yourself. And you kind of have to realize, the world's not going to end. Yeah. But how can we, not let this happen again? So one thing is I've always had nerves in my career. Like I always believe if you're not nervous, you don't care. Yeah. So yeah. So that was huge. I was always been nervous because I always care a lot. Like for a lot of my life, like these past years, Rocket League, my career was like my focus 95% of my life. So one thing was definitely like embracing the nerves. Like if I care, I know that's a good thing. Like I want to care. And another thing was like if I just put in the work, so the hours, so scrims, replays, ranked, free play, whatever it was at the time, if I felt like I prepared, then I felt like there wasn't as much to worry about, because like what am I gonna do?
You do that you can.
Am I gonna play 10 hours the night before and be like, oh, this is gonna help me? No, I've put in the work, I've scrimmed, we've talked. Like there's nothing magically that's gonna make me win. So the preparation was huge, as well as just like one thing that was big, and I found it particularly with Rocket League, is you're playing a video game for a living, man. So it's like, how can you not have fun? Like when you get to, even if you're at a like online or at a LAN, like I get to travel somewhere and play a video game and get paid. Like there's not really many people that have it better than me. So just like the preparation, as well as just being like, you know what, bro, like you have one of the best jobs. Like you get to play a video game. So it's just, you get to have fun, and then, as it's still a job, so you prepare and you put those things together. I think they do help.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's very similar to like how I feel about it. Yeah, it's that preparation. You've done everything you can. There's not much more that you can do in, the last kind of 10 hours or so before you're playing your game. Maybe 2 weeks before you could have prepared a little bit better, and that you can take that into next time and maybe learn from it. But if you prepared well, then you've done everything you can. And yeah, it's just like, yeah, you're still playing a game, like have fun with it. And I think everything else that comes after that, whether you're winning big in tournaments or in ranked or whatever it is a bonus. You know what I mean? The first kind of initial thing is having fun with that experience, Johnny, I think, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all I do is lose ranked games, and I try to just have fun, because I'm definitely, there's no winning going on. But yeah, for the mental side, did you notice, Chicago, any difference being the kind of unknown up and coming player who is dominating RLRS and Dignitas, and even when you joined EG, you were still the one of those up and coming players, debut season versus signed to G2, now expectation, all these fans, you're playing with Rizzo and JNaps. What were the differences there when you finally made it, but it comes with a lot of pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Jack knows this, but looking back on it, there's a big difference on being on a team where I was on EG, or I'm on the quotes come up, because you don't really have that pressure. Like anything you do is almost a bonus. Like, damn, this guy's pretty good, or this team's doing pretty well. It's like, oh shoot, people are learning about it. They're discovering, they're learning about me. But when you switch, like you said, to a G2, and you're on a top team, and you also expect top results, and the fans expect top results, it's definitely a different pressure, because you go from like, oh, maybe I can be that guy, to just like, okay, I have to be that guy, or we have to be that team. Like if we G2 finish, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but if we get relegated, like this is career defining. So it's definitely a learning thing, but it's also something you accept. Like you want to have the pressure, you want to, have the most fans, because that means you're doing something right. Like they always say, and this is weird, but they don't boo nobodies, right? Like you want to be somebody that, I'm not saying I ever got booed, or like no one in Rocket League usually ever gets booed, but like you want to be somebody, so that way you want to have expectations for yourself as well as for other people, because you get to share that success. So, whether it's winning a regional or just winning a side tournament, like you get to share that success with the fans as well. So it's definitely a good pressure, but it's not something that you can just take for granted and be like, this won't affect me and I can just live or just do everything how I was before. You kind of got to treat it with a little bit different mental attitude and be like, you know what, I don't want to win. Like, we have to win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of similar to that thing you mentioned, earlier about having nerves. It's almost a good thing because you mean it. It means that you care, right? It's a similar thing to having that pressure. It means that you're in a good position, and again, it means you care. So I think that a lot of people can kind of relate to that with kind of their own experience in Rock League and other games with just ranked in general. With their like rank up games, they're going to have the pressure. They're going to feel like they almost need to take the chance because it's right there in front of them. Similar to when you're joining a top tier team, you don't want to kind of, ruin that one chance that you're getting because you feel like it may never come again. And I think that you mentioned something about, when you join a top team, you're expected to get those results beforehand. You're kind of the underdog. And I think it's quite important to almost try and keep an underdog mentality somewhat in certain moments when you're kind of feeling that pressure from maybe being in a position where you're not used to. I've always found it really useful to try and think of every match as if you're the underdog. I actually, a little bit of a tangent here, but I speak to Panda about this, my coach, all the time, and obviously he was on one of the best, if not the best teams of all time, and he always went into every single match thinking and basically thinking in his head that this is the one we're going to lose, and which sounds like a loser's mentality, right? But it's almost like it can do the opposite for you and make yourself more comfortable because you're giving yourself that underdog mentality a little bit going into it. So I think it's quite interesting what different types of situations can bring about your mentality and how that can affect you.
No, I think everyone handles pressure a little differently. Like you said with Panda, like it's like, he puts that pressure that this is gonna be the one to lose, so let me prevent it, or the vice versa is like, we have to win. Like I got to put on my shoulders to show up and perform, so it can lead to a win. Stuff like that.
I was gonna mention, did you find any big differences with, we talked a little bit about the mentality when it comes to practice and gaming and mechanics and just the actual nitty gritty of playing, fully like focus on the game? What were the big differences, if any, between your come up days, the Fibion days, Dignitas days, e.g., compared to G2? Was there differences in structure? Were there differences in your own hours that you're putting into specific things, teams, replays? What were the main differences when you took that step in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really too unexpected, but when I was with Fibion in the early days, you're kind of just playing. Like, if you play ranked, if you scrim, you play side tournaments, it's kind of just you improving, and like you're just going to get better over time. So I kind of just played. Obviously, I would look at replays of, Garrett G at the time, Jerry Knapp's European players. I loved, this might be a little too far, but like Weedem Girls was like my favorite team ever.
Really?
Like, Maestro, Remco, Greasy, like I could watch those dudes play all day. Yeah, they were like my favorite. Unbelievable. So just like watching players was huge because like I was obsessed with the game. I think anyone who kind of became pro, you have to be obsessed with the game. Yeah. So I would watch players do my own stuff, but it wasn't really like, I never was like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this because it's going to help me in X, Y, and Z. But then once I got to G2, it definitely became more structured. It was like, again, with that pressure, you can't really just half-ass and be like, I'm going to hop on today and play some rank tomorrow. It's like, each scrim is got to mean something. Each game has to be an improvement. And, at the end of an hour, if stuff, or at the end of a day, like, maybe some days, bad days happen. But if you have a bad couple days or even a bad week, like, if you get to a certain level, you have to talk about it. You have to get through issues. And you have to figure out how can we like get better or fix what we're facing right now, so that way it doesn't affect us. Where if I was on Fibion and we weren't playing well, it's like, okay, well, maybe tomorrow we'll be playing better.
Right.
Tomorrow we won't choke. I don't know. It's just like there's no not camaraderie, but there's no leadership of like, when you're at that level of someone to step up, because you don't really feel like you have that responsibility. Like I can't really, not being paid by Fibion as a 16-year-old, tell my teammates, hey, like, hey guys, we got to step it up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really in that spot to do so. But when you're on a team like G2 and you're in the quote unquote pros, I feel like everyone has a responsibility to each other. Because like I felt I had a responsibility to JNAPS and Rizzo. I know they don't want to go out there and just stink. Like we want to be like, we want to win. So if we ever faced issues or we ever felt like we were doing something good, or we were just like, we would talk about it. We always had a great relationship. I think that's what made part of that roster so special. Was we had great chemistry. But that goes for both good things and bad things. Like, you can't have only positives. Like, that's not how life works. But, you just got to talk through it. You just got to, treat it more serious and, like, speak through what you're feeling. So I think a lot of it with G2 was, going through replays, saying what you feel is comfortable, what's best, but also asking and listening to, the other guys and making sure that everybody can, be on the same page. So that way everyone's strengths can be just pushed higher, and that way everyone's playing to their best ability.
As a fellow former teammate of Rizzo, not quite at this, not quite at the same level. I feel like I can relate to a lot what you're saying. What are your? I mean, I could go on for days. But what are your top 10 things that Rizzo does in the pitch that you had to, talk to him about and tell him, listen, this is gonna stop.
Own goal 1-1. not turbo level, but. He had he buried some great ones, especially his last tournament, if anyone knows.
Was it his last match? He just owned gold in his last match? Last match.
Blatantly in the wrong net. And again, we knew his last one. It was all fun. Like, it was awesome. But it was bad. It was bad. But no, he was like one of the first guys to, not get the love of somebody on a top team. So he would do stuff, everyone knows the demos, passing, like the little things that people, started to, me and JNAPS would score. JNAPS would pass a lot. I would score, vice versa, because that's kind of just how our team ran. So Rizzo was just the best because he didn't really care about getting the accolades or like wanting to be the talk. I mean, obviously he had his stream and all that, but it's not like he was like, I'm so popular and different. Like, I have to be the guy. He was like, no, like, let's just win. And obviously he's just a great guy. So it was even better to just hang out with him. I mean, we lived in a team house together for a while. So,
really?
Yeah, it was, no, I don't really have anything bad to say about Rizzo ever. Like, he was a great teammate in terms of the game. I mean, obviously he's not the most mechanical, but none of us were. Like, we all had our different strengths. I think, it's just how you utilize them. And Rizzo, own goaling, whiffing, faking. He was the first. He was the first to. I don't know if it's real, but the whiff that was actually a fake, like that helps you. Like, I think I don't want to like toot our own horn, but we were kind of like the first team that started like, we're just gonna miss the ball on purpose, so that way the other team gets faked out. They don't even see us, like the guy behind them. So Rizzo, I think, honestly, might have done that. Like,
probably.
Can I curse?
Sounds very,
do what you want.
Sounds very
so this might be fucked up, but I think Rizzo might have just been whiffing and been like, oh, yo, this shit's kind of working. And so he'd start calling it, and it was like, yo, like, he's onto something. But the bumping, his communication, his maturity, his humor, his ability just to, keep a good frame of mind no matter the situation. Whether we're at a LAN, in Leipzig, Germany or something, like he was always like going to have a laugh. We were always going to have a good time. So it was just, not really too much or anything to complain about Rizzo.
I'm going to bring up something else still about G2 and Rizzo and JNAPS and yourself, but this is, it might be a tough memory. Hoping enough time has gone past now that you can openly speak about this, but 2019, you guys made the final of Montreal. You guys made the final of multiple tournaments. But you guys made the final of Montreal, and I remember seeing a pretty rushed, like, speedrun trash talk segment by yourself, where they kind of prompted you, I believe, to talk some smack about Rettles' team, the Peeps. And what was it? What happened there? Because I know there were kind of been a lot of time between your previous semi-final, where you guys are now going into the final as the favorites, and they're coming to you like Chicago. We need to really quickly record something for the stream. Talk some smack. What happened there? Because you said that you're the better team or something, and then I don't think I ever heard you talk trash from that moment ever again for the rest of your career. So, what went on there? What happened? Were there any lessons learned?
Yeah, I mean, that's funny. That's actually funny you bring that up because that was a brutal time. But Yeah, my parents, like the way they raised me, I always thought if you were cocky and showboating, I always thought it was kind of like my parents didn't raise me that way. So I've always tried to be, like, I don't want to say I'm humble, but like I'm never going to call myself
I'll
humble,
call you humble
just,
for you.
I'm not going to like go out there and be like, I'm the best. Like, that's just not how I was raised. So so that tournament is, so what they do is before Sunday, like literally we're not even through quarters finals yet. And like, hey, so if you get to finals, we're gonna assume you could play one of these 4 teams, and we're gonna have you say a line of trash talk about every team.
Johnny, that's what they do. That's what they do for every major. Yeah, every man. But yeah, you have to.
Days.
I mean,
so they don't really.
Yeah,
well, I thought they just like rushed it out between. I know sometimes they do like.
No, like our esports tournaments don't happen like in league, for example. Going on a tangent, but in league, like you have days to prepare for a grand finals. But with Rocket League, the matches are on the same day, so they have to have footage of every single player trash talking every possible team that they play. So I guess that's what happened there, Chicago.
Yeah, so I trash talked 4 teams, and the entire time, I wonder if you could find it, but I'm probably like, you could probably tell, like, this guy is not, like, this guy doesn't know how to shit talk, like, this guy stinks. But, yeah, so I was just like, this isn't, when they told me to do it, I was like, do I have to? And I eventually did it, because I think I was kind of still young in the career, so I just was doing what I was told.
Yeah, they're saying, talk trash, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
We ended up losing, obviously, to Reddles, and then back then it was a way different world. But right after that, I started getting tagged and all the messages about what I said before, because I forgot.
Oh, really?
We played 8 hours of Rocket League later, and then I'm like, oh my god! Now and then the next it wasn't that deep, but the next month or so, people started. It becomes like, this guy's a douchebag, like he just talks shit, like he's not even
really.
So it was kind of tough. Wow. Because I mean, that's if you talk shit, like that's what you deserve. Like if you're gonna talk shit, you have to be willing to take the heat back. Yeah. So I thought it was fair, but like in my mind, I was like, it sucked because I didn't even want to do it. So from that point on, whenever like RLCS would ask me, I'd always try and make it like not real. Yeah. So if they're like, and I'm sure, I don't know if Jack's done this, but sometimes they'll put you in a head-to-head, and the guy across from me doesn't even speak English, so I'm not going to go shit talk him. I'm going to say something funny like, hey, bro, I'm going to try and make a joke out of it, because I just don't want, I was so scarred of that memory, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to go to Sweden, shit talk Ahmed, whose first tournament is there, and then lose and look like the biggest idiot ever. That's just not a good situation for me, so I was just, from that point on, which I was just like, okay, no matter what they say, I'm going to try and wiggle my way out of it and work around it. Maybe if I did shit talk, I was probably super confident. That was probably the only time.
Yeah.
But
when they got to the peeps,
I'm not a fan.
When they were like, I didn't even realize that you had to do like all 4 teams. So they're going down the line, like, in case you match up against Vitality in the final, could you say something? You're like, yeah, fair enough. I could see that happening, or NRG or whatever else. Then they're like, okay, can you give us a line for the peeps? And you're just like, I mean, come on, like, what do we have to? Like, they're not making the final, bro. Like, nobody thought they're gonna make the final. It was like,
oh my god,
yeah, that'd
have been way worse. That would have been way worse.
That's probably what I would. I mean, if they got any predictions
those guys,
back
they
then,
won't even be there.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, it was brutal. I do remember the community, like, they react a lot to these kind of things. But I don't know if it's the same for players, but I know for like for content creation and casting, there's different types of criticism. It's not quite as it's not the same as to what you guys get, but I've realized over the years, I've been in the space for long enough, that if somebody is criticizing, or if somebody's like saying something negative about you, then there's not really a lot you could do to change their mind. They've probably already made up their mind about you, and there's not really any point in worrying about winning that person over, at least not in the short term. But in the long term, even the biggest haters can be convinced if you just continue to be consistent. And I think looking at your personality that people have been able to see through your continued participation with G2 and continued participation in RLCS and then onwards after G2, I think everybody who would have like thought back then, like, wow, this guy just talks smack, they probably all changed their mind eventually, even if you had to endure, I don't know, how long did you think you had to endure those messages or those tags after the incident?
I can't really remember. It was probably until the next RLCS season, because usually dream hacks were after RLCS, so you kind of have like that off season. So it's probably until like RLCS. But at that time, I mean, it was probably pretty tough. It probably wasn't that long, but yeah, you're completely right. I mean, I think that's one thing everyone learns as they get older, whether it's, you know, in this job or anything, is you can't control people's opinions, like what people care about you. So eventually it just kind of became like, if those people are still mad at me, like there's nothing you can really, like you said, there's nothing you can do. It's just, you know, that's how the internet is. They just form opinions instantly off whatever you say, and then they don't really want to hear more, or like after they make their opinion. So it's just can't do much about it. Just gotta keep going.
Yeah. And yeah, you guys went on from that to actually, because yeah, you kind of touched on it briefly. You nearly, I'm going to say nearly, but not really nearly. You were in the relegations, promo relegations with G2 at the end of that season, I believe, which was bizarre because you guys, Cloud9, were in there. Then you absolutely destroyed promo relegations back into RLCS. And then you won Season 9 and Spring Series. You guys were just the best team in NA. So what happened there? Because you didn't change any rosters. Well, you didn't make any roster moves. And usually in Rocket League history, when a team is on the downtrend, when a team is getting worse and worse results, and they have a really big, you know, bad result, it's just over for 99% of teams. There's no coming back. But you guys not only came back to like an acceptable level where you're at before, you beat NRG with Turbo. They had to make a roster move. You were number 1 in NA. How did you guys regain from being in promo relegations in NA, like 8th place, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th place, whatever, to being first for the next like half of a year into a year?
Yeah, so it goes kind of before that, because Season 7 was my first season with them. And again, we were good, but we were kind of just like pure skill back then. I think we got top 3 or 2 or something in NA. So we made the LAN. But like we were just playing off of skill and being better than people. And back then it was the top 3. It wasn't crazy. But we had a boot camp before that Worlds where we got second. And I honestly wish I could tell you like the moment it happened. But it was like a couple days before we left, we figured something out in our play that we were trying. And then boot camp was kind of where we like stuff clicked. And eventually the team house came into it. It was like when we play with each other, we're next to each other talking things through, and we're expanding on what our ideas, like something just clicked where we became, we felt like we became a way different team, like a top team, legit. And so, so right after that boot camp, that's when we got second.
Second of Season 7. Yeah.
At Worlds, yeah. And I believe the Montreal might have been after that too.
It was
like double
it was
seconds.
after. Yeah, same year.
Yeah, so we're like on that run. But then this is the classic, like we all go home, we take time off. We're like, we just had a great run. This is easy, right? We figured this. Like, we're gonna be dominating. We're gonna be shitting on everybody. But we go home. J-Nops goes to Canada. I go to California. Rizzo goes back to Texas. And we just like, we go back. RLCS is coming back up. We just start scrimming, and we expect stuff to click, and we just expect stuff to be easy. And new players came in. The Reddles, the Mists, the Gyros, all those like new age players came in, and we're just like, you know what, like you can't just do nothing and expect to win. So we just kind of lost everything we were working for. And it was a pretty dark time, because we're like, what do we do? Like, how do we figure this out? And at the time, it wasn't like boot camps weren't really a thing for regionals and stuff or RLCS weeks. So we weren't going to go do that and try and just, you know, make G2 spend a bunch of money, figure it out. So it was a dark time, but we kind of just, you know, like you said, we were mature, we were friends, and we realized that we didn't need to kick somebody to, you know, get back to the level we were at. So one thing that was huge was the boot camps, and that's where the team house came into play. And G2 the house we had was awesome. I can't thank them enough. Like every day I look back, I was like, damn, that was amazing. But
where was that?
So
was that New York, I think, right?
Yeah, it was in New York, like outside the city. It was right next to a beach. I mean, it was New York, so the weather, it's not great most of the year, but it was unbelievable. You take a 30-second walk and you're on the beach. It was nice. It was awesome. But yeah, so that team house kind of just brought that back, where we were like, okay, this is like, we need to be back on our stuff. Like, we can't just expect to go home, you know, hop on the game and be like, yeah, we're going to be a top team again. Like, everything had changed. So we had to figure out, you know, how do we get to what we were doing before? What were we not doing? What were our issues? And all that, we felt more comfortable being next to each other. So like added team house, you know, bonding with Jazo, of course. And so yeah, we did that. I think it slowly started coming back, and when we started finding our groove, one thing with that team is like when we found our groove, we found our groove and we were there. So we found it, and then we kind of, again, like that season 8 relegation, it was literally in my head, I was like, if we lose this, my career could be over. If you go to RS, it's like it's tough to come back from, especially at that time. It's again, you're going from the pros to the minors. It's tough to deal with. But JNAPs had like one of the craziest tournaments probably still to this day.
Yes.
Yeah. We were just feeding him. And I think Rizzo and I literally like we're on the side, like in between one of our matches, literally like in a corner or while JNAPs is in the bathroom, like, yo, like let's just pass him the ball. And we literally like, let's just feed him. And we did that. And like that was with JNAPs, you could do that. You just be like, yo, let's like just give this guy the ball.
Yeah.
And so we did that. We made it through, got to the team house, figured our stuff out. And from that point it was just like we know what could happen if we don't treat this the way we should. And I think that mindset and what happened to us before is what led to us kind of winning season 9. And unfortunately COVID kind of took a lot away from us in that roster. But that previous experience kind of, I think, gave us a mentality to kill the next season. Like we can't, lay down and expect to do good. Like we got to, every team is legit. Every team can beat us, and we got to play our best or try to play our top game to beat every team. Yeah, that was the mindset.
I really like that. You said that, like, in that relegation tournament, your whole mindset after you saw how good one of your teammates was playing was just let's play to his advantage, to his strength. And I think Johnny, I think we recently, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we recently did a video like how to deal with like pressure in like overtimes, especially, or in high pressure situations, right? And I think one of the main things for situations like that where you're thinking, Chicago, like, oh, my career is kind of on the line here. If I lose this match or I lose a couple of these series, I drop and then I can't get back. Pressure's on the line. You play to your strengths, right? That's really what it is. And I think that's what a lot of people can take away from and learn from is, in these high pressure moments, you kind of have to fall back on what you know, one, that you're good at, and two, what is just currently working for you in the moment. So I really like that. On the note of, like, your team, you were really good, second at Worlds, I think it was, right? And then you kind of fell to that relegation zone, and then the following season was really good. What was it exactly in the team environment that kind of gave you that push? If there was anything, was it the coach? Was it just the three of you? Was it someone in particular? Do you remember exactly what it was, or was it just a bit of combination of everyone kind of buying in at the right time?
I think a lot of it was embarrassment, to be honest. We were top 2 last in the world. We were at the grand finals, and then you don't even make the LAN, let alone you might not even be RLCS next season. Like it's very embarrassing. At least for us, it was. So I think a lot of that, it was just like innately you in the back of your head, you're not going to say it to your teammates like, yo, you guys embarrassed about like that relegation.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not going to say that. But in each other's heads, like, let's not let that happen again. As well as, to be honest, I mean, everyone knows this, but Rizzo was going to retire, I think, after every season I played with him.
Oh, really?
So when season 7 happened, it was like, maybe he's going to retire too. Okay, we got second. Of course, he's not going to retire.
Yeah.
We're doing really well. And then season 8 was like, okay, I think in me and Jake's head, we're like, okay, this is probably the one. Like we got out of relegation, but there's no way he wants to do this again. Like that was just torture. But I think when honestly he was like, I want to play again. Like let's do this. Let's do this the right way. Team house, all of it. I think that kind of just gave like a message without even saying anything.
Yeah.
To, me, Jaynab Shaza was like, okay, if he let's not waste his time. Like he obviously at the time, massive streamer. He could go do content and be just fine, do whatever he wants. But he wanted to play another season, so we have to commit to him, and he's committing to us. Mm-hmm. So all around, it was just kind of that buy-in, and I think, we just all like understood without saying it, like what we needed to do and what was on the line.
Yeah, we're maybe, I don't know if any of the Discord asked more questions about the Rizzo edition of GT. We could genuinely have made this entire thing just about the JNAPS Rizzo Chicago, and this would have easily been a full video. But in the interest of your time, we don't want to keep you forever. I want to also talk about the other main G2. You had the little like stint with Dries on G2, which didn't last very long, and then you had Atomic come in, and that was a huge boost. Atomic joined you guys, you and JNaps, and you immediately first split, win the LA Major, first LAN back after COVID with a crowd, and then you go on the rest of the season to be the best team in NA and finish second at Worlds again. So like to do that years apart, by the way, is so difficult. Before the pandemic and after the pandemic, to come top 2 at Worlds twice is insane. So for you and JNaps to do that is already ridiculous, especially when there's only one Worlds a year. But yeah, there's probably so much to say about that team as well. But I want to talk about your win in LA. That was, I think, the crowning achievement of your career. Is it that or top 2 Worlds? I'll ask you actually. What do you think it is? Top 2 Worlds or LA?
Definitely the win.
The win.
Yeah. Give me the win all day.
You
not a
think
second
that one?
place.
Top 2 Worlds is pretty good in the modern. I want to give you credit for that. In like the 1 Worlds a year, I'm sure it doesn't feel that way, but that's incredible as well. But yeah, LA. Let's talk about LA because you guys won that one, and it looked like you guys were able to play a pretty similar brand of Rocket League to the good old days with Rizzo as well, where it's very team first play style, at least from my eyes, and super fun to watch. And you had the whole home crowd behind you, of course. How was that experience winning in LA, getting an RLCS LAN win?
Yeah, I mean it's first of all, it's when you play this game, especially as a pro, like that's what you like play the game for, is a chance to win one of those events. So that was just the best feeling ever. But yeah, before that, like you said, it was very similar. I mean, we picked up Atomic and we basically just said like, hey Atomic, this is how we play. Like if you have like, we want to implement you in this style, plus add what you think, like what you're really good at, and try and like enhance you. And so he was like the best because he came in, he was accepting of it, which, a lot of players like, probably don't want to immediately be like, yeah, I'm going to go join this team and play their way. Like, I don't want to not play how I want to play. So yeah, we just joined. Again, so much hard work, so many like replays. Me and Atomic would 1v1 at night or just, talk about the game, how other teams played. So it wasn't like it was just, we were good. We put in a lot of work because our first regional did not go that well. I think we got like 6th. And we're like, okay, we just made this move. This is huge. So then it became like, okay, this is like next level bunker down. We got to figure this out. And something just clicked, but it was through, the maturity of talking things out, figuring out what's best for everybody, and also like keeping a good spirit and making sure you're putting in the work as well. It doesn't you can't just say the right things and also not do it. So yeah, he just basically ended up fitting right in like a glove. And fortunately for me, Los Angeles was like probably the only LAN where I've had majority of my family at. Obviously because it was my home. So my only win being there is pretty fortunate because, my uncles and cousins got to see it and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was awesome. But yeah, it was just like, you can't really say too much about Atomic. He's, still going, obviously. He was just unreal talent and he just cannot be a better teammate at that time. And we all kind of just, again, had a good time, but at the same time, we knew when business needed to be handled, like what we needed to do. And I honestly just felt like at that time with Atomic, especially that LAN, I mean, I remember other teams like saying like, and like Rizzo stream, like they don't want to play us. So that's when I was just kind of like, okay, we got something here.
I mean, I was there. I was there scrimming against G2, and I've never felt like more helpless in a scrim. Like they would just like follow up on each other's touches so fast, like way faster than any other team in the world at that time. And like I think we must have scrimmed you guys maybe 5 times across like the kind of boot camp that we were there for, and then the actual event. I think we might have taken maybe I want to say like 3 games across 5 scrims, and it was absolutely absurd. It was like nothing I'd ever played before. You were like the first team. This kind of sounds stupid because it's such a basic thing now, like a few years later, but the hitting the ball off the wall and following up so fast off like the sidewalls for each other was like, you guys were just like leagues above everyone else on that, and it was just that speed that I thought put you guys across the line in LA. There was actually that one player as well in the grand finals. I don't know if you remember it, Chicago, but it was obviously against Team Queso, and it was just the most stupid goal ever. you like all three of you had to like.
Did Atomic pre-jump twice?
It was
it was
a
where
crazy
you
passing
dunked Vatira?
play. It was a crazy passing play, but it was like so. When I say stupid, I mean it in a great way. Like so, like on the
No, it was stupid.
on
It
the
was very
spot,
stupid.
just like making it up completely, which is obviously Rocket League 90% of the time, but like in a completely different way. I was like, what the hell have they just scored? I think was that in the first? Because you played 2 series in the grand finals, right?
That was second series.
Yeah,
I think
that was the second. That was
were
kind of what I think that.
No, it's 2-2,
There's
2-2,
always-
wasn't it? 2-2
There's
in
always a
series.
play that pushes you over the line.
Yeah, exactly.
And was that the
There's a
play?
Yeah, that was a play, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one because, I mean, as anybody knows, the first series was, and again, who knows if we lost that. The way the first series ended where it was completely on me. I called Atomic off and we double faked
yeah.
it.
Yeah, the double
yeah.
play, I
And then we
forgot
lost.
about
That was game 7, right?
Yeah, game 7.
Yeah, like you cannot lose a series
Yeah.
in a worse way. Literally cannot.
Well, actually, let's talk about that.
but again-
How did you bring yourself back from that moment? Did you care, or were you like in the state that like that much that a mistake didn't mean all too much for you? Because for me personally, there'll be series I have in my career where I might just not be in the right frame of mind, and the mistake can like really rattle me. Whereas if I'm like completely flowing, usually on tournaments that I end up going on to win, like if I'm like flowing, just playing really well, and just in a different state of mind, a mistake I kind of just move on quickly from. Was it on your mind a little bit going into the following series, or did you move on pretty quickly from that?
Honestly, you're exactly right. Like most of the time, if that happened, probably 80% of the rest of my career, I'm
Yeah.
like a head case. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, what's happening? But I think like we walked into the green room like, and we're like, yo, we're good. Like we got
Yeah,
this. Like,
okay, yeah.
because we ended up figuring something out. I think in that series where we were like, okay, we're actually the better team. Like
Yeah.
we know we're the better team. So we were just talking about that. Like, yeah, like we were better than them that series towards the end. Like we just do that again, we're gonna be fine. So fortunately, we were all kind of in that mental headspace where also the tournament had gone well, so we were confident from results before. So we kind of just knew like it was bad, but like we have another series. If we just lay down, especially me, if I just like lay down and think about it, like and I lose this, like who knows if I'll get another chance. So it's just a combination, like the confidence we had in each other, how we were playing, the camaraderie we built over such a short time, just as a group. Like all of it combined into, us not just crumbling in that moment, but instead like figuring it out, picking each other up, and getting to the end goal, which is obviously the win. And yeah, Atomic, that one goal, that's just that's kind of just when you add Atomic, like a team can, do everything well, but then you just have players that can make stuff happen or make plays happen. And that was one of those all-time plays where he just made something happen.
Yeah, you guys responded so well from... I didn't know what to think. I remember, I think
It was brutal.
The game 7, I was like, what on earth just what happened? Like, I don't know why this keeps happening to me, but I swear I was talking at the time it happened. I remember I was casting this match. I don't remember vividly, but I swear, like, any time there was 3 casters. It was me, James, and Jorbian, and like, I'm the one speaking, or I think that I feel like it's always me. Maybe I'm a curse, but yeah, you guys were to regain super well from that. And yeah, I've just checked the Wikipedia. It was 2-2 in the second series, and you were down 1-0 in game 5 when you guys had the double pre-jump.
Was it towards the end of the game as well? I swear it was like...
You scored again immediately after. I do know that. I don't know what time of the game it was, but you did score again immediately after the kickoff. And that was the... I think there was no regain from that for Team Queso. It was just...
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what Atomic did, and I watched it back, the goal we were talking about, we were speaking, I wouldn't be able to tell. I've never watched that play back. But what were we talking about? Yeah, the other one, if you watch it back, and at the time it was a tough clear, but Tira literally made a perfect clear. Like it was a perfect read. And again, who knows what happens if that goal doesn't go in. But Atomic, Vatira's an incredibly tough clear. Perfectly does it, but Atomic dunks. So yeah, it's just, everyone knows when teams win a LAN, it's not, there's some luck involved, team of destiny, whatever you want to call it. So that was kind of our moment, our team of destiny, where it's just okay, And then right after, it was kind of just the momentum that we probably gained compared to them. Just, it was too much
for them. I mean, I think that was for them. They're learning. They learned that day because you guys had the experience to just not be tilted from things going wrong and just regaining and playing really well, whereas they didn't. And then in the very next LAN final, they did the same thing to Falcons, where I think Rise own goal in Game 7, regain, win the match, or win the game, no problem, sweep the next series. They even had like, I think they lost Game 6 to a like wall pinch that bounced in off the ceiling, and that's like, it's so unlucky. You know, these moments happen at the highest level where you just have something goes against you, and you just have to be able to move on to the next play. And yeah, you guys did that insanely well that day, which was, yeah, it was a spectacle. It was really cool to see. And yeah, the second place, I do still think, I mean, maybe for you it's like obviously the LA win is the big one, but when it comes to like, you know, I do a lot of ranking teams and stuff, and I really do hold the second place Worlds the same season to like, that's like a major win in terms of like how good a team is historically for me. So I still hold that incredibly highly. You guys were you know, able to 4-0 Optic, you 4-2'd Furia, a team that you never had trouble with, 4-1 Energy, 4-2'd FaZe, and then BDS were in the final. We're just the better team that day. Yeah, what was your takeaways as a team from the World Championship in Dallas? You know, to go again the next season and hopefully beat the French was the plan. What did you learn from that tournament and take into 2023 season?
Yeah, I mean, the French, man. No France. I have 2 rings, so that's all I'm out there. They ruined my career. No, but yeah, Monkey Moon, K-Dop, there's just always something like when you scrim them, it's like, especially at that LAN, we kind of knew it was going to be BDS, like the way we both had just gotten super embarrassed in London at that LAN when we were 2 teams that should be doing way better than what we did. So I think both of us were kind of the same mental, like we were probably working way harder than everyone else because we had to. We just had an embarrassing loss. So when we were scrimming them, it was kind of like, okay, these are the guys we're going to see in the final. And we felt super confident against everybody. But I think versus them, it was like, okay, this is a little different because the way they play, they were obviously just incredible as well. So yeah, that was tough. And then once we get to the final, I think it was just kind of, it just felt like they had been there before, and we were kind of just like, it was like, like we kind of just had that real moment where we were like, kind of just snapped back to reality, and we weren't in our own flow state where we were before, where we're just, you know, beating teams. It kind of was like, okay, we just kind of got caught up in the moment. So I think they just kind of capitalized on that. I think they were obviously really good, but I think we kind of went down a level as well as them, just kind of like as they should. If a team isn't playing to that same performance, like you need to just wipe the floor with them before they even get the chance to come back and gain momentum. So yeah, it was tough. Again, second place. I'm still proud of like the second places we had. Obviously, like do I think about like what would happen if we didn't give up that game 1-0 second goal over scrub and other shit and other stuff all the time? It's just natural. But yeah, I think it was brutal. Like, just being honest, second is the first loser. No one remembers who got second, you know, years down the line, whatever. But I think we also saw that like we have this we have something good here, and hopefully we can continue to do something with it.
I have a quick question.
Oh, yeah, go for that,
about that grand finals, the Dallas one in 21-22. Was it kind of like, it was a 4-0, right? I don't want to bring bad
4-1.
4-1. Okay,
4-1.
Okay, sorry. I'm taking your game winner. Was it?
Yeah.
I've sometimes had series in my career at a major where I got 4-0s, 4-1s, whatever, and I blinked and it was over. Was that kind of similar to that, or were you more in the present? It was kind of the opposite, right? You were just like, what the hell just happened? After you like 3-1 down with 30 seconds left, and then you like hear the crowd, you've like zoned out for the entire series, and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, I've had a couple of those series where you literally just you sit down, you plug in your controller, and it feels like you're wrapping it up. A second later, like we lost. Yeah, we just got 3-0.
Yeah,
and so yeah, it was unfortunately was kind of like one of those. I think game 3 we were probably like, whoa, like what's happening? Because I think we just expected. Yeah, I think we just, like you said, we're comfortable. We expected to come out just and be an even series.
Yeah.
I don't think like we're in the killer headspace enough to be actually prepared for a grand final, because grand finals are different than any other match.
In what way would you say it's different? In majors and worlds, grand finals, how do they compare to other matches online?
I mean, I don't know how it's like. I'm a big baseball guy, so my best way to explain it is like a closer. So when you're the closer of a team and you have to come in and get the last 3 outs, there's a difference between, your team having a 1-run lead in the 7th inning or the 6th, where you have more chances to come and win, where it's the last inning and you're the guy. That pressure falls on you. You don't have anybody to back you up. So like in the tournament, if you're on the grand finals, but like, maybe you have a loser's bracket, you don't have all that pressure because you didn't make it that far. But when you make it to the grand finals, like, okay, this is it. Like win or lose, like I don't get another chance. This might be my, hopefully not at the time, but my only chance in a grand final. So there's just like a lot of different it's a different kind of pressure that comes of just playing in a LAN where there's so much more at stake for not just like money wise, but like honestly your pride and like what your career is going to shape out to be. Like in those grand finals, like winning and losing those do actually have a change on the rest of your career, like how it plays out, stuff like, obviously you might spend money. There's a bunch of different factors, but there's extra pressure for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like, I feel like if you win any type of tournament, even a regional nowadays, but especially a major, a LAN, it just feels like it almost extends your career at a top level for like another year, for example, just with your own confidence and with everyone's perception of you team wise and stuff like that. So I think those grand finals, they are really the difference maker. For me, I'm actually like, I've only been to one LAN finals. You've been to many, but even with regional finals, I actually sometimes feel more comfortable in grand finals, which is weird, because I don't know. I guess for me, I don't know what it is. Have you ever felt grand finals where you're more comfortable than the rest of the tournament? Like I felt in Rotterdam, for example, when I won. It was way more comfortable in the finals than it was for any other match in the tournament, where you're flowing. Is that similar to you, or really is it all grand finals are really a bit more pressure, takes a bit more for you to get into it?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Honestly, for me, I kind of agree with you because if the tournaments where I have made grand finals, the grand finals, especially LA, if you look at that compared to my first tournament or my first series of that tournament, I'm like a rank B player to like an actual pro. Yeah. Because for me, the farther I go out to the tournament, the more comfortable I get.
Exactly, that's right.
Whether it's online or like on stage, and you just it just becomes like I don't know how to describe it, but you just become like it just becomes normal almost, even though it's not. Like when I went up on Sunday of the LA Major and like it just when I went on stage, I was playing, I was like I didn't have the same nerves. Mm-hmm. There was 4, 4, I don't know how many people, 1,000 in front of me. And I had less nerves than playing in a studio with 2 other teams that were screaming different languages when it's just us and there's no fans around. I was way more nervous during that. I don't know what it is, but I think it's just, you just get more comfortable. You settle in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the farther you go into tournament, I think that in the back of your mind is like, okay, I'm doing something right.
Exactly, right. You're doing good at least.
So, yeah. It's definitely had grand finals where I think it kind of like you still realize it and you're like, okay, I should be nervous because this is a big deal. But I definitely do agree. Like the grand finals, I've usually experienced way more comfort, way less anxiety, like anything than compared to the early rounds of tournament, especially if you're playing, a team you shouldn't lose to and it's a close series, stuff like that. Yeah. Like that's brutal. Where the end of the tournament, exactly what's going on. You're in control, stuff like that.
We'll talk a bit about your post G2 teams in a second and get a couple of questions from the TNR members as well. But before we do that, I wanted to get a prediction from you. Do you think that the next World Championship coming up, the grand final being in the World Championship itself being in Lyon in France, do you think that's going to help or hinder the French teams who have been dominating on everyone else's turf? Now they're going to get to play one on theirs. Do you think it's going to be good or bad for the French teams?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to be curious in your guys' answers. But, I mean, I know I've experienced KC players, and I can't say for them. but I feel like I could see the pressure they feel when they walk onto a stage and half the crowd cheering for them.
Oh, you beat them in their house, right? You went to KCX and you beat them.
Yeah. that was a little tough though, because me and Jane have gotten kicked and they made us fly out to Paris for that, so that was a little different.
Still one.
But yeah, no, I can't. I don't know. I mean, I want to, for those guys, I feel like it'll help them because I feel like they have such a strong connection to their fan base. And like those guys, those French fans are so devoted to those teams that it might, I honestly think it'll probably give them like another boost of confidence instead of the pressure. But I could be completely wrong. But knowing and losing to the French, they just feel like I don't think it'll affect them.
Jack, what do you think?
Just playing statistics, there's just a way higher chance it affects them more negatively. Like just with how good so? Based off of how
well they've done. Okay.
Based off of their average result at a LAN, like the average result of the best performing French team at a LAN is for them to win the LAN. So how much higher can they go? This is my like base of logic. Do you know what I mean? Like they can only fall. Basically, they can only fall. Like so. If they win the LAN, then you could sit here and argue to me that it was because of the French fans. I could sit here and argue that based off all the previous LANs, they've actually were going to win anyway. You know what I mean? Like they were just going to win, like regardless. So I think that for me, hopefully for me, since I am there competing against those teams, it affects them negatively. But hopefully for them, of course, it won't. I think either way, the French fans are going to be incredible for. And for the health of the esport, I hope that they go far and are really good in front of the French fans. Just because I think that that tournament's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be electric.
So Chicago, you've also had post G2 success with SSG. Top 8 at Worlds where you're bringing up new talent. LJ, you played with him for a bit, and he's doing great things on the Ultimates after playing with you. You played with Kofor for a bit this season. Now he's going to win a regional. What's that stage of your career been like? So you were the up and comer, and then you joined G2. You had made like long time spent with the same players, trying to lock in with one roster and keep on making it work. Now you've had different rosters, young players, trying to help them improve, trying to, is it keeping up, or is it, trying to make it work in a new environment? Like what is that stage of your career like, and what's it like trying to help other players, younger players, learn to compete in RLCS?
Yeah, I mean, it's been different. I mean, going from G2 for so long was quite like the difference, just being honest, organizationally and just team-wise. Because with G2, it was so professional, and the way everything was run, it was, again, like you were expected to win. But when I joined SSG, it was a little different. I mean, it was like LJ and Hawk, like they don't not communicate, but they're not as vocal as past teammates as I had. So it was always very weird because, like I said, I was on G2 for 5 years, and joining a new team, I didn't feel like it was my place to ever, like, I felt uncomfortable saying stuff. When I was joining a duo who also did well the previous season, like I believe they finished top 8 at Worlds. So I've always felt, it was a little tough during that season, but I believe as time went on and we got better towards the end. But yeah, it was a new world of figuring out how to manage being on a team where it's like I'm not the main voice, as well as it's just a different circumstances with new coach, new players. So it's a lot of kind of just in your own head. At least for me, I was trying to figure out what to do or how to help the team. Most of the time, it was, and again, I've always been like, I just want to win, so I'm not really trying to take the ball too much. If I can give the ball to LJ, give him some space, be a passing option, like I'd rather do that if that means we're gonna have more success. And I'll let him do that. And I think that's basically ended up what happening is we figured out what style was kind of good for us, and we just, we kept going with it. We had some success, did decently at lands, not too great, but not bad. And then with Kofor, it's kind of the same thing. Is just, I saw somebody with talent who's actually mature, very hard to find nowadays, especially in North America. So I just thought, I was like, I want to give this kid a chance. I don't want to team with somebody who I want to be miserable with, and just, he's a 15-year-old who doesn't respect me, doesn't treat it seriously. And Kofor had his issues for sure. He wasn't perfect, but he's also 16, 17, so I don't expect him to.
Yeah.
But the talent, and then just trying to, I want to see him succeed. I don't want to me team with him. I don't want to see him go on SSG. Like when he left for SSG, no one was gonna be like, yeah, bro, we hate this. We want you to go get your money, especially him being young. And unfortunately, where the scene is right now, I want him to get paid, and obviously he's gonna get through these lands, which is awesome. But yeah, he was just he was very cool about being coached and taking criticism, which is incredibly rare. So I feel like kind of towards the end of last year and this year, it's kind of just been it's not really I feel like it's just the best spot to say stuff when I actually think I can do positivity. So with Kofor, it was I see a ton of skill, but I also see a ton of issues where he just doesn't know how to play threes. So if I can teach him a couple things, or we can teach him a couple things as a team with me and Fire and Hot, then not only will it help us, but he's also just going to get better. And I think he was always going to be this good. He just has natural talent like that. But I think his own maturity, as well as just him being an actual teammate on a 2025 Rocket League team in North America, and not somebody who just wants to score a double reset or just be that guy. It was a breath of fresh air, and I'm happy to see him succeeding. And I hope that SSG team can kind of be a rejuvenation of NA younger talent, because those guys, while their egos are a little ridiculous, they do have the work ethic. They do seem like they want to win, which is the main two things: is work ethic, preparation, winning. So I hope maybe them can, they can inspire these guys that are coming up to, put in the effort and don't be, I said their egos were weird, but they do seem like they do care about the game. So not being selfish and just wanting to win, playing for one another, making the game easier on each other, stuff like that. So
really
You're
quickly, I think
SSG, by the way. Oh, sorry, you go, Jack.
Ego is I think the issue with a lot of Rocket League players, when we've been on podcasts and stuff like that, and we say they just have a crazy ego, is that they have a crazy ego combined with they don't actually try too hard, and that's the bad combination. I think having an ego, or having a lot of confidence whilst also trying hard, trying to win every single day, and realizing that you're not better than the players you're currently teaming with, that's the good combination of kind of the ego that I look at, I think. And I think it does seem like the SSG guys, they do have that good combination, rather than the combination of they're thinking they're better than everyone and they also just don't put in the hours. That sucks for two reasons. It sucks for the reason of you just look like an idiot, and the second reason of that, usually they just actually don't go anywhere because of that. You can't really go anywhere. Very few players. Some players in the world can put in 30 hours in 2 weeks and still be a god. Me, I can't, at least. So I think most people will struggle. So yeah, I'd say that's the main difference between the SG guys and former kind of younger players in NA that were kind of rumored to be, or touted to be good players coming up.
Yeah, I mean, quickly, the perfect example is Vatira. As much as I've seen his tweets, I want to put a hole through my monitor with my fist. How cringy! He's I'm gonna be Vati Demon and I'm gonna expose all you. I'm like, dude, what? But then you see him win, and I'm like, I can't hate on this. He's winning. He's putting in the work. He's one of the best. I don't personally, I wouldn't do it, but I can't say anything about it, because he's putting in the work, he's winning. So he deserves to have that ego mentality, stuff like that. Whereas, like you said, if somebody, and I'm not going to name names, but there's plenty of people in NA where they've had talent and they have the ego, but they're constantly in the 6th to 13th range in NA because they don't have the qualities that Vatir has that actually leads him to success. Yeah. So there's a big difference.
I did want to mention, you said your time in SSG got better towards the end. I think you guys got scammed. I talked about this at the time. You guys got absolutely scammed by the format, and it was actually, I think you were a top 3 team in NA at that time, even though you didn't make LAN. But you just kept getting, it was Gen G? Yeah, shout out Jack and Gen G. Sorry. In the quarters, or I think you ran into G2 once as well, maybe. and every time it was because they had lost in Swiss to M80.
Yeah, it was just us trolling
tanked
the bracket
seeding.
every
Yeah,
single
you guys
time.
would you lose to M80 in Swiss, tank your seeding, hit SSG in top 8, and then eliminate them, and they don't make LAN. And everybody was trying to cope and say that SSG, no, they're 5th NA. I thought it was pretty clear the whole time. You guys were third NA the entire season, but yeah, you got a bit scammed there. Was there any feeling of being scammed? I know you got experience with Fibion. Was that like the second scamming?
No, because I mean, I've always thought like if you want to win something, you got to beat the people in front of you. You're not going to get like a Mickey bracket all the way there. So for me, it sucked. Don't get me wrong. We all were like, this kind of stinks. But in my mind, we should have beat Gen G once out of the 3, especially if you're a team that expect stuff out of yourself. You can't be like, okay, we're not going to beat the teams above us. Like, we expect, like in my head, I expect to win one of those series, and I know we have to win one of those series to make a major. That's how making a major works. You're not just going to get lucky and make a major. You have to beat teams that are above you and get through those tough matches to make it. So I don't really feel scammed. It stunk, but I was like, yeah, we didn't deserve it because we didn't win. We went 0 for 3, and it's not really acceptable. But yeah, I could be wrong. Maybe the last regional, but I believe that first split, we only lost to G2 and Gen G.
Correct.
In that whole split.
This is true. I believe that's true. Or maybe the last one.
I think the last regional we kind of just felt like we might have just limped and lost to somebody. I think, but yeah, for the majority of that split, we were only losing to G2 and Gen G, and it was tough. But at the same time, in my head, I was like, okay, we have to win one of these.
No, your competition who did make LAN didn't win any of those either. So it was just
they didn't do too great.
Yeah, they eventually the truth was revealed. You guys were actually like pretty solid that entire time.
One thing that's sorry, but this is like kind of a side tangent. One thing, like I mentioned, I'm huge with baseball. It's like my biggest passion. So with baseball, one thing I love is like a lot of it's advanced analytics. And so a lot of stuff makes sense. So if a hitter or a pitcher's good, there's going to be a lot of numbers that back it up and explain why. So kind of tying that into the RLCS thing, the teams that didn't beat those teams and then went to go to the LAN, they didn't do so great. And when we went to the LANs, we didn't like win, but we were doing better than those teams that made it over us. And I kind of felt it was just kind of like a correlation of like, when you see the numbers, like they usually correlate for a reason. So I felt like we were better than those teams that made LAN. But I was happy that we were actually able to prove it and be like, okay, with the results, better than those teams that were over us.
I think that there's very few times in Rocket League that a team doesn't make LAN and they are better than a team that makes LAN out of their region. But I think that was one of those times, and
it was definitely
yeah. I think that was one of those times. I think at the time I always just held the opinion of like whoever makes LAN just deserves it. But I think straight away after the split, when you guys in Split 2 showed that you were just definitely way better than the other, I don't know who it was that made the LAN, but
LG OG.
Right, yeah.
Second time OG made it.
I was like, yeah, that's fair. I think that is one of the few times, maybe the only time in Rocket League that, actually, I think that the 22-23 spring split with V1, Dan Beastmo, they obviously didn't make the major, and they were just definitely one of, if not the best team in NA at that time. But yeah, there's only a few times. I think that split was one of them, Johnny.
That was a ridiculous split, to be fair, with Optic reverse sweeping phase for you guys to qualify. Yeah, that was just insane. Right, Discord questions. I've got a few for you here, Chicago and Jack as well. Feel free to chip in. But first one here from Gosto. He wants to know, when you're forming a new team or picking up a teammate, what do you usually look for? Are there certain qualities, play styles that you really click with? And has there ever been someone you just instantly knew that you would mesh well with on the field? By the way, everybody listening, join the Discord, join the Next Rank Discord. If you remember or not, there's sections for you. But guys, yes, what do you look for in a teammate when you're farming or picking up a new player?
It's a good question. I mean, first thing for me is like maturity, honestly, because like I said, I don't want to team with somebody who's not going to respect me, respect my my time, because if it's scrims, unfortunately, you still have to deal with people just not showing up or scrims getting canceled, stuff like that, like little things. And then more in depth, like good communication in game. Like I don't want somebody who's not going to speak. Like communication is incredibly important in Rocket League. And then somebody who's like, in terms of in game, I like somebody who, has a good sense of how to rotate. Like it's going to sound very broad, but there's usually a lot of people that like when you play with them more and more, you kind of realize they don't really know what they're doing or like where to be on the fields in correlation to what's going on. So usually for me, like if you're in the right spot, you can communicate well and like you're not basically an asshole. That's usually like a pretty good step to just be like, yeah, I'd want to try out with you. I'd want to play with you.
Yeah. For me, I think it's I just go off mechanics pretty much. If someone can hit a flip reset, I like them a lot. That's pretty much like the only metric I look at because well, it's true because I
whether they can flip reset or not.
Yeah, maybe nowadays everyone can flip reset, but if they can get two, maybe then they might look. I like that. But I just look at mechanics and movement because for me, the negatives of a player, like everyone that I speak to in the pro scene, they're so scared of picking up a player because of their like, oh, they just own goal all the time. When I say own goal, like they just make a ton of mistakes that lead to a goal being scored on their
like
team.
Rizzo, of course.
Yeah. And I just don't care about the negatives of a player because I think that Rocket League is such a confidence-based game that like one good RCS win, even if it's like a quarterfinal in a regional, one decent RCS win against a team that is better than you can just like completely boost a player's confidence and just completely remove their negatives of their game. The amount of times I've seen this happen with players, the mechanical players, that like one regional they are just like they're still scoring the nice shots that they were in the next regional, but they were just own goal in for their team. Then the next regional they just have the confidence that they didn't have because they had a good run, a decent couple of results, and then they're just a whole new player. And so that's really all I care about is the mechanics. And then yeah, I think at least having one other player on the team that is like a smarter player is usually the kind of route I like to go when I make a new team. The team I'm currently on is kind of built like that, and then the Nolly and Chronic team was kind of similar to that as well. So I really like that kind of formula.
All right, got another question here from Andalou. He asks, what are some of the most memorable / hardest things you've had to learn to adapt over the years? And follow up on that, what qualities do you think you have, specifically Chicago, but also now Jack as well, as your career gets longer? What qualities do you think you have to let you, stay at the high level compared to other pros who've retired much sooner? We're talking Chicago, your career is now 8 years. Jack, how long have you been a pro? 5 years. So yeah, what are the hard things you've had to learn, and what's enabled you to keep going?
I mean, for me, just being brutally honest, I think with Atomic, we had a little bit of a slide after the Worlds. For previous years, like we had this G2 way, as a lot of people knew, and in my head, I was like, dude, we can still play this way. Like, we're good. Like, but in reality, that style was just outdated. And Atomic and I used to get in a decent, like, not scuffle. Scuffle's isn't the right word, but like,
arguments?
Conversations, I guess. Yeah, arguments is fine.
Yeah.
But I think that was like what we needed because it also let me realize like I was in the wrong. Like I needed to adapt quicker, and unfortunately we didn't. Or like we could have done it sooner. But I was in my own head about wanting to play a certain way. So for me, I think when I kind of realized, like, you know what, Atomic's right. Like, we need to switch this up. Like, I need to be listening to him. He's the new age player. Like, let me hear what he has to say. And then, so that was kind of like, I was like, yeah, he's right. So that helped a lot. And I think a lot of it's just, it's hours. Like, you can't just. All the players that put in 30 hours past 2, I was never like 100 past 2 my entire career, but I've always been pretty good around 60 to 80 and putting in the work I need to. So I feel like the consistency and seeing other people with low hours kind of slowly fade out was kind of something I always kept in my mind. Like if I keep putting in the work and, I'm also I still have a passion to learn about the game. So whether it's listening to Atomic tell me about what I need to do nowadays, what's different, or back then it was watching a lot of who was good at the time. I mean, there had to be some EU team. It was probably BDS or something. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Energy. I can't remember. But it was like watching their replays too, and also not just being like, okay, Atomic's right, but let me go see what other people are doing, and let me go try and learn these things and actually apply them to my own game, because I can't just see it, say it, and be like, okay, I'm good. Like you actually have to go practice. Like how everyone got pro, you're not just going to be like, oh, I see it, let me go pro. You actually have to put in the time. So it's a combination of being like, you know what, I need to adapt, figure out what's next, and then also having the ability to put in the work and taking the time to realize like, yeah, this is what I need to do to stay at this level.
Yeah, I like that. What was the initial part of the question, Johnny? It was
hardest thing you've had to learn over the years.
Right.
Or most memorable. You got an option there from memorable or hardest.
I guess most memorable is just the most recent thing, and it's similar to what Chicago just said when he had debates with Atomic, and he had to kind of see his side. And I think that's similar to me, honestly, in this last like 7 months of being on this team that I'm currently on, is that like I had a very set way of playing in my previous 2 years of RCS when I moved over to NA that brought me a lot of like my most success in my career, and then that I've had to have a lot of debates with mainly my coach Panda, and just completely 180 flip that on its head. Basically, with how I play now is completely different to how I used to play, and I think I'm open, but I'm also very stubborn at the same time. So I think that's one thing that I had to battle with myself with. Like I do see other people's thought processes, but I guess I have a lot of confidence in myself and just always, think I'm right a little bit too much. And so I think I had to battle with myself on that, and see his way a little bit more, and it's paid off. So yeah, I'd say that. With what was the second part? Is
what qualities have helped you keep up versus other like similar.
I don't want to copy
like
Chicago's answer, but it really is just that, I guess, having a little bit more adaptability than other players, like realizing where I don't believe there's metas in Rocket League, like a meta game, but I do believe that there are, kind of ways the game is always heading. Whether it's more passing in certain years previously, more 50s, I think in certain years recently, and then now I think it's just going in the way of aggression and demos, in all honesty. So I think that the adaptability, and also just I just love the game. So it's not hard for me to want to put in the hours. Like you said, 60 to 80 is good for you. See, I am actually like 60 hours past 2 weeks for me. Even 70, I find myself playing bad. Like I have to go higher than that, which is kind of a shame. I'm honestly a bit jealous of these players that can put in 30 hours. I mean, I don't know how that's possible, but especially the like 50 to 60 range of players where they put in 50 to 60 hours past 2 weeks and are at the top of their game. I'm jealous of those guys because I have to put in like 90 for me to be at a good level, and anything above 100 I just get better and better with. So it's like, I guess that is one of my best qualities, but also like an annoying quality that I've had to keep up with. Yeah.
All right, got some other quick fire questions here for you guys. So we'll go this first from Cube of Soup. So yeah, let's list off some things here that you guys can advise outside of the game. Anything you focused on to help you be a better player. So not Rocket League, not exactly Rocket League related. What are your things you've done outside of the game to improve your gaming, to improve Rocket League?
I think you just gotta have something to be able to take your mind off it, because it does consume so much, especially when you're scrimming and competing. So I think having other hobbies is really good. So for me, like I said, baseball, golf, or even just, like going for, like you had a tough day, going for like a nice walk for an hour, just putting your headphones in and just kind of getting your mind off of it. I mean, it is tough, but yeah, for me, it's just like, I want to be able to, if my baseball team comes on, I want to be able to like stop thinking about Rocket League and be like, this is like, I enjoy doing this. Like this is fun. So yeah, I just think you can't have everything be Rocket League all the time. It just becomes too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, that for most people. For me, it's like my best periods of Rocket League are actually when I'm like thinking about the game when I'm not playing the game, which is like the complete opposite of that. So I'm kind of ruining the question here because now I've just said both answers. But for me, like I just like think about like, challenges, for example, when I'm like falling asleep. like,
you do the Sosa?
I don't
know
play.
what the Sosa is?
Yeah, I know what the Sosa is. That's the scrub killer. That's the scrub killer for me because I've seen scrub killer tweet about this or say this on a stream. But yeah, Sosa tweeted, like, does anyone else like play a full game in their heads? Right, that's the one you're referring to. Yeah,
he's like a chess player.
Tweets I've ever.
Yeah, so I wouldn't
play a full game in your head.
No, I don't play a full game.
Who else can play?
I couldn't do that. But like
situations.
Yeah, situations all the time, and it's kind of similar to what you talked about earlier when you won with, or when you were winning with Atomic, how you would talk about the game with him when did you say like in like hotel rooms or whatever, like outside the game, basically, right? Like like when you're just chilling. It's kind of the same. Like me and Nolly used to talk about the game all the time when we were teams, like and like living together in Canada, and I do that with myself now, just like kind of, I guess, running through like situations and like what is going to be best in the situation. I don't know. It sounds strange, but that's the best thing that I did outside the game. But like in like non-Rocket League things, I think sleep for me. It's obviously very cliche, but I do think sleep makes a massive difference for me personally with how I feel. I always like to get like a certain amount of sleep before I play a game, before I play an RCS game. That's actually changed over the years. It used to be like 7.5 hours, and now it's actually like 9 hours. So a little strange, but yeah.
All right, you got 3 more. Number 1 here from Rokeas says, have you ever had a player you really wish you had a chance to team up with, but the stars never aligned?
Oh, go on, Chicago. Do you
for
anyone?
Me, it's pretty easy. It was Garrett. Like the original plan was like J-Naps was like, hey, we're gonna pick you up, and then when Rizzo retires, Garrett's gonna come over, but timing just never really added up. For like
Rizzo just wouldn't
seasons
retire.
after
He
that.
didn't get the message.
We got second. So that's the season where he was supposed to join. We got second, so we weren't gonna change teams, and we were getting relegated. They won, so they weren't gonna change. And then after, it just became like, then we won season 9, so we weren't gonna change. So yeah, Garrett was just always going to be like 1-1, but it was brutal how it just never lined up. It was just in another universe that for sure happens.
And just Garrett is the answer to that question for you.
Or First Killer. I mean, First Killer was like First Killer Atomic was going to be either or, and First Killer ended up choosing FaZe over us. But I think everything happens for a reason. So,
Jack, what about you?
Probably not. I'm pretty happy with how things have gone. So, I don't know. Maybe I guess in Scrub Killer was a great teammate, but I think we've said it before. Like even during the time, like it wasn't our initial. That season. There was a lot of like tryouts that didn't go our way. It's been so long now that I can speak about it, and I think I already have said this before. But like Atomic, for example, Spanish Atomic, in Europe, we were very close to playing with him, me, Jorius, and Atomic, and that at that time that would have been like a crazy team, because coming out from RCS X, Atomic was one of the top like 5 to 10 European players, and so it would have been an insane team. His dad didn't want us to team. Like his dad wanted him to join a Spanish club, I think it was a Spanish team, unfortunately, and then Chaussette, we played with Chaussette and we were winning like every scrim with him, and then he eventually he chose
Semper.
Chose Semper, and then so like I think maybe a couple of those. We ended up winning a regional that season and got another grand finals, but so it still went fine. But I would say that like initially those players were doing extremely good with us in scrims, and I think that could have been potential route that could have been good.
Okay, penultimate question here from Chip RL. He says, hi Jack, Johnny, and Chicago. It's me, Chip. 2-part question that I feel are related to each other. How do you react, control / counter the nerve stress in high stress situations? I know high stress situations aren't the same for everyone. And how do you react, control, counter tilting / crashing out toxicity when messing up or losing? Well, we do actually have a video on this, Chip RL, about the mentality behind Rocket League with LBP. We also did a recent video that kind of relates to this about how to stay calm. So Jack and I have spoken quite a lot on this topic, but Chicago, for you, how do you deal with high stress situations? How do you deal with avoiding tilting, crashing out / toxicity?
I think we talked about it earlier, but for the high stress, it's more so, it's like, again, kind of repeating to myself in my own head, like I'm prepared, I'm ready for what I'm about to do, as well as telling it, it's like, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I saw a video, if you like tell yourself you're going to have a good time. I don't know if it was true. It could have just been something I read on the internet and I fell for it. But so I was just like, yo, this is, I think I literally before I was like, speaking to myself, like, this is going to be fun. Like I was like trying to get it to work.
Or you just in the bathroom, look in the mirror, like, this is going to be fun.
I mean,
I think,
we're going to do this.
I think I'm whispering it to myself on stage, like moving my mic up so my teammates are like, yo, what's this guy
Really?
on?
Yeah, I sometimes do that. I
Yeah.
sometimes do that as well,
Yeah.
actually.
Because sometimes, I mean, like, just being honest, like sometimes you do get like your anxiety is very high. You're like, this is brutal. So it's like you got to figure out some ways that you think. So those two ways are like my main two. And then for the tilting, I think that's just something with age. But for me, I honestly, it's probably not the greatest answer. But if I start to get tilted, I usually just stop playing. I think that's like,
Yeah, I mean, taking a
sorry,
break.
maybe it's because it's just taking a break. Like people, whenever they ask you or in my chat, like in chats all the time, they're like, I just lost 200 ELO. What should I do? And I'm like, you should have stopped 150
Yeah,
before
50.
that. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't really, I mean, it sounds really bad to say, but I don't really understand why, like, especially if you're not having a good time, like video games are meant to be fun. So like if you're miserable playing, I don't really expect, like, I don't get why people would still play.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just my thing is like, if I kind of feel it coming or it's just like not my day, it's just like, you know what, let me just get off before I actually ruin my day and figure out something else. So it's not a crazy answer, but I do think it works. Like, and again, it's tough because I guess people just really want to play, but there is, I think, a lot of benefits people will notice instead of tilt queuing where they actually like, it's for 2 weeks, they're like, you know what, let me just stop playing and see how this changes my perspective.
Yeah, I like that. What Chicago what he was referring to there with the first part of his answer is positive self-talk, which we actually covered, Johnny, in a video with LVP on our channel. So I think my answer, like you kind of alluded to, Johnny, is just go and watch that video and see if you can gain anything from that on the kind of the dealing with stress part. Yeah, positive self-talk and things like that is really, really beneficial, even though a lot of players don't know that they're doing it. That is what they're doing, and they are putting these kind of psychological tricks in their mind to play, and that does help a lot. So yeah, I would suggest videos like that. In terms of the tilting, taking a break, it is the best advice. Like Chicago said, it's like it's a really big skill to be able to do both of these things, where when you're losing and you're on a big kind of losing session, to cut your losses. It's a big skill to know when to cut your losses in terms of not tilting, and also in terms of just natural, like how ranked goes, your ranked journey kind of goes with when you're losing points, gaining points. It is important to kind of cut your losses and then come back on another day. And it's just as important when you're gaining points to also kind of, Johnny, I don't know what the term would be, but to like just stop at, when you've gained 50 MR or something, because that's like really great. Yeah, stop whilst you're ahead. Like don't like, okay, sure, go till you lose, but then chill out, right? Like don't just lose all the MR that you've gained.
Actually, can I tell you, like, so the play till we lose, play till we win.
Yeah,
so if you're in a losing streak, you play till you win. You're in a winning streak, you play till you lose. A really cool twist that you can use on that, which I've done with my friends sometimes, is if we're in a massive win streak, it's getting late, I want to get off, I'll just say let's play till we win. Because we're already winning.
I sometimes play to win. I sometimes play to win. Yeah.
But you play till you win
it.
on a win streak, and then if you're losing already, let's just say, all right, let's play till we lose.
Yes.
It kind of like just relieves everybody's like, all right, yeah, cool. Let's just like finish on on a loss. That's like, because if you win at the end of a losing streak, it doesn't really feel like a win. It feels like, okay, well, we kind of still lost a lot, so might as well go out
I can actually feel that.
on the same vibe.
And
then if you don't, if you're just like, wait, we can't even go to sleep, we're on a losing streak, now we can't stop winning. Like I love like flipping that around.
I actually like that because recently, like I was obviously been playing this game now for years, like just ranked for years, and like even now I care about my MR so much. I'm not gonna lie, like ranked, I just love getting high and ranked, and just So I like even recently I went up like 30 points yesterday in ones. and I lost my last game and got off, and I was like, damn, I was this MR just 10 minutes ago, and now I'm like 12 down because I just lost to someone who's really lower than me, and I just shouldn't have lost that game. And I'm just tilted because I should be, whatever. And now I'm this, and it's just annoying. Even though my session was positive, yeah. So I actually do like that. Yeah, stop on a win, even if you're on a win streak, and if you're on a losing streak, just go to loss.
Jack, I have a question.
Yeah.
I feel like this might be an EUNA question.
Yeah.
Does your ranked outcomes determine how you specifically are playing individually, or do you feel that way? Like if you're winning, you're playing well. If you're losing, you're not.
Yeah,
well.
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I'm still pretty good at separating ranked from like RCS tournaments, for example. Like just because I'm high in rank doesn't mean I'm going to do well in RCS. A lot of the time it's actually the opposite, and sometimes I have to like find ways around that for some reason. And vice versa. Just because I'm low in ranked and losing recently doesn't mean I'm going to do bad in RCS. But I would say that if you're losing, naturally you think you're playing bad. However, sometimes I am losing games, dropping 1,000, and have no idea how I'm losing. But I will say that I think even if you're like, dropping 1,000 in rank 2s and you're losing, you have to be doing something wrong. It can't always fall on your teammates, for example. And so I think I try and, if I'm losing in ranked, it does mean I'm doing something wrong that is losing me these games. So I'm not playing my best. That's really the mindset I have. So I think it just allows me to look out for mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What was your answer to that, though, Chicago, the NAEU thing? Like, is it correlate for you?
Well, obviously Jack's right. Like if you're losing or winning, there's usually a correlation. But for me, kind of like, I'm going to say my era. So like the me, JNat, like not even JNat, but like my come up compared to the new age. Like I would talk to the new age players and they would come off a rank 2 session and be like, I'm playing terrible. I lost every game. Where for me is like, I felt like sometimes I could be playing bad and I'd go on winning streaks in ranked, and sometimes I'd be playing good and I'd be like, I just lose. I feel like in any video
ranked
game,
means
like
a lot more to like the newer generation of players than it did for yours. Is that right? Like, yeah. I mean, that's got to be it, because for me it was always like I knew in ranked like there's gonna be days where I could be playing the exact same, and one day I might go up 40 MR, one day I might lose 50. So I always for me it was like I always knew what things I was doing that were usually equating to me playing well. Right.
So for ranked, it was never too deep. But I never was like going on a losing streak and thinking like, oh, I'm great, I'm good. Like I just never. But I was always just like, okay, that doesn't mean I'm actually playing bad. But let me figure it out. Where nowadays, especially NA, it's where I notice it. But like their ranked performances and their ranked sessions like determine their mood, how they think they're playing, like what they're doing. Like it's like. Where I think that's like
it does for me, but it doesn't like put me off like from like playing. Like a lot of players like lose in ranked in NA especially, like, and they just don't want to play. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. They just like, not touching the game for the day or whatever. I just maybe take a break or go to free play. And
you
just
free play a lot. Actually,
I mean, you probably figure out why you're. I hate to like shit on NA here, but you probably like figure out and think about why you're losing. And like,
I try to.
NA is just the re-queue, hit X, like do it again and again and again. Don't change things. I think this has been like a tale as long as time, so we don't got to get into it. But NA is just like rinse and repeat, do the same things over, queue again, same thing. It's just there's never really like how did I lose that game, or like what did I do to lose that game? It's where EU. For my career, the ranked was always so enjoyable. I could play 5 hours of ranked in a year straight because it was so competitive. Yeah. And like, this is weird, but in EU, I felt like people disliked each other.
Yeah,
we do.
So
there's like a
passion.
We do.
Yeah.
It's not
Chicago. All ranks.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge difference between like I think EU and NA the last like 6 years. Where I mean, I've definitely like spoke about it, but. Like when I play against somebody in ranked and like you have actually feelings towards like not wanting to lose to this person, it's gonna make you better. You're gonna be more focused. You're gonna wanna like you're gonna be like, I don't want to lose again. What can I do?
Yeah.
Where in NA it's just like I said, it's just the re-queue and no one has that actual passion. Like no one wants to actually beat each other. It's just like I just want to play and do my own thing. So there's never like
I think it's
that
because
emotional
more NA
investment.
players are more friends with each other just because, and this the only reason for that
They all
is just
speak English as well.
Yeah, it's the language.
Yeah.
It's the language. That's the reason why they're all friends with each other. Whereas European players, I'm not friends with the French players because I don't speak their language. So naturally, they and you will shit talk them more and stuff like that. Like you just have more of a like a little bit more of something going on because you're not friends with them. So if they troll your game, you're tilted at them.
Yeah, it's like personal.
Yeah, like whereas if an NA player trolls my game, I'm usually in a call with them. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, no, you're good. Or like I'll make a joke about it, but like you're still friends with them and you're talking to them half the time. You're in a call with them. In EU, it's not like that.
The double reset was awesome.
Yeah.
2-on-1. Yeah, do that again. That was fun.
So it's like
where EU does that. It's like
it's a little different,
blocked.
I guess. It's a little different.
EU also
it's way better though.
Yeah.
I'm a wholeheartedly like I think it makes and I think like talent wise, it like the ranked is huge, but I think like the ranked is a lot of the difference between EU and NA these like last 5 years has been like it starts from ranked.
Oh, it all starts from ranked, 100%.
Yeah.
It's
I was gonna say, much more enjoyable.
The MENA players spam quick chat a lot as well. So there's a lot of MENA players at all ranks
MENA
in the
players
EU.
are the
They
most
all
toxic
spam quick chat,
region,
but they're all just in Discord streaming to their friends, spamming quick chat like,
they're having fun,
I just told him no problem, ha ha ha. After I said they're all just like but they're like laughing and joking around. That doesn't translate. Like the French scene see that, Spanish scene see that, they hate it.
Not even
the UK scene, everybody,
like
they're just like, they hate. So it just creates these rivalries out of nothing, out of quick chat spam, and now there's like toxicity.
Right. Yeah, that just reminded me of like I think I literally got off scrims one day and Zen was crying on stream because of that Nupo situation, and it's just like whoa.
That's a legit. The fan bases are all like the fans are toxic to each other, and it's all because the MENA players spam quick chat, and
I can guarantee
everybody hates it.
I can guarantee you, every time Zen plays Nupo, he's going even harder than he normally would, which is probably
and it makes him play better, or makes him improve faster, 100%. There's more rivalries in Europe than
I mean, it's not a good thing. Like I don't want like these fans shit talking everybody, but it definitely like I think it happens in real sports. Like these players that get a lot of trash, they don't just do nothing. Like they use it as motivation. Where EU, I feel like does that way better than NA.
Yep.
All right, last question here is a bit of context, so I'll read through that for you guys. It's from Zinc, and he wants to know the summary of this is when is it too late to go pro? And here's his story related to that. He says, hello, Jack in Chicago. I'm William, 20 years old, still love the game. I have around 2 to 3K hours, and I'm GC2. Used to play a lot of 1s in the past. Now I'm playing a lot of free play 2s and 6-mans. He's a full-time student studying architecture, good grades, a lot of pressure from family to focus on studying and not play too many video games. They say, live your life, don't sit in front of the PC, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. During the semesters in the week, he often has around 60 to 90 minutes a day on Rocket League, and on Fridays, Saturdays, he often plays 4 to 8 hours. So basically, he's using a lot of free time, every free time to play Rocket League, often coming home from university around 7 p.m. so he can play 1 hour's free play before he goes to sleep. He's bought TNR to improve faster. Hopefully, he bought it with creator code Chicago. But right now, where he's at right now in a state of progress, he loves pro environment, scrimming with 6-mans, etc., competing, very enjoyable. But seeing his favorite players make regionals of lands, he always wishes he could be a part, or at least a small percentage of like players, fighting, competing. So his question, and he wants you to be honest here, be like completely brutally honest. He says he wants a reality check if necessary. Can he go pro, like fighting for majors, within 1 to 2 years in the current situation he's in? So yeah, and he does say literally no. As you know my backstory, I'd like a clear answer. I'd love to become an RL pro. However, I'd like to get a little reality check from you guys. He doesn't have a problem with you telling it harshly or honestly.
1 to 2 years is going to be too hard. I'll say that. Like that's the honest answer. For majority of players, you'll never really find a GC2 that will go pro in a year or two. I just don't think it's, and I'd be very, very, very happy to be proven wrong. But I think for me, like, I don't know about you, but I'd like to see people have more enjoyment out of their like kind of progression through like ranks and stuff. Like for me, when I was at that rank level, I never really like tried to go pro. I don't think pros try to go pro. Do you agree with that, Chicago, or not
No,
really?
yeah, you're completely right. It's people that trying to go pro is harder than actually becoming pro, I would say. Like,
Yeah,
you're completely right.
and I just think that I think that there's no positive outcome from trying really hard to go pro, because in the sense of, I don't think it necessarily improves your chances. I actually think it kind of hinders them, because you're so focused on something that is completely out of your sight right now, which is completely fine. It doesn't have to be in your sight for it to be achievable in the future. It's just out of sight right now. And that makes it very, very tough for you to see the small kind of goals that you're actually should be trying to achieve next. And then you don't actually know what you should be working on. That's what I see a lot of the time for players that are in that stage of, they're not close, but they're really wanting to do it. You got to shorten your goals and where you're looking, what stage you're looking at. And for the other reason, I said there was two reasons. For the other reason is that it's a very high chance that the majority of players that are playing this game around GC2 won't go pro. It's obviously way higher of a chance that you're not going to go pro. So in that case that you don't go pro, you still want to look back on your time that you're playing the game with enjoyment, right? It's as simple as that. You want to enjoy your time on the game, because no one wants to spend time not enjoying themselves, especially with it being a video game. Like you said earlier, Chicago, you said it's, you want to enjoy your time still getting to play the game, because that's what it's about. If you're not enjoying yourself, then why are you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of you, I think you're exactly right. Like, for me, when I didn't try and go pro. I ended up, I was like, so I was like wanting to get to the next rank. When I hit GC, it was like I just became the best player in the world. Like,
yeah,
every goal, every stepping stone should be a goal that you're achieving next. Like, if you're GC, do not even think about being pro, because you haven't even SSL yet, and that's a whole nother level of the game. Mm-hmm. So like this guy said, I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I want people to like chase their dreams, but this is going to be like an incredibly hard thing to do. Yeah. So if you do have a passion for it and you do really, really want to do it and see if you can put in the time like you have been. But I do think there has to be a realization at some point, whether it's in 6 months, a year, 2 years, especially when you're school, you get good grades. That's great. I mean, probably when you get that degree, but there does have to be a realization where it isn't meant to be. So I do think there is a part where you can chase that dream, but you also have to be realistic. Like, everyone who chased their dream had to put in more work than anybody else. Like, that's just how it goes. Yep. You have to put in so many hours. So it's not impossible.
And get lucky.
But the truth, and get lucky. You get noticed, whatever happens, something's got to happen to go your way. But so you can still chase that, but there has to be a realization where, especially unfortunately where the scene is, like, your time is better spent elsewhere. Like, just being brutally honest. Like, if I was 16 years old right now, I would not be in the same spot I am. Like, I would not be trying to go pro in this game. It's tough. Like I said, the work, and Jack said the luck. Like, there's so much stuff that does have to go your way, but I don't think it's impossible. It's just you have to realize that there is a very slim chance it actually happens. So you can put in the work, but don't be afraid, or you have to have the realization that, you know what, I might have to call it and focus on something else.
Yeah.
And again, Jack said you do want to have fun in the game too, so you don't want to not go pro and then all this game that you once loved, you're like, I can't even look at it anymore because it's so miserable.
And I think that's what a lot of bubble players actually end up doing. The amount of tweets that I see of like very, very high level players, like if you ever get to a stage of being a bubble player in Rocket League, it means that you're, on the cusp of top 16 in your region. That is really, really high level. Nowadays, bubble players even probably, slightly into the top 16. And that's really high level. Very, very few players ever get to reach that point. It's a great achievement. And then the amount of tweets that I see, after they've stopped playing, of like, oh my God, spending so much time outside, like my life's so much better. Like, spending so much time outside and with friends, my life is so much better than when I played this game. And it's like, well, you've got to now they look back on that time as if they wasted it and as if they hated it. And so it's just not enjoyable for them. I think what you said earlier, like, I remember hitting GC and it just being like, just didn't care about going pro. I don't know what it was. Like I hit GC and I was like, there is no one that can like take that away from me. You know what I mean? Like I hit GC, and then
you get
the same for like 1800, and because we didn't have SL back at that time,
no
same for
SL,
1800, and then 1900, and then 2K, and then top
100,
100, top 10. Like it was all like a separate progression that I just had such a big ego, a good one, over for myself. Not that I would display that to anyone else, but like in myself, I was like, yeah, I'm a top 100 player now. Like what more do I need? You know what I mean? So I think that's what I'd like to see more out of from using, because that slightly slow down the progression. Like Chicago said, of course, unfortunately, there is just the reality of life, and that you have to see the picture in the end of that. Maybe it at some point, if it's not happening, it's not going to happen, which it sounds like you're already confident in being able to identify that anyway, because you said if you want a harsh answer, then you're completely fine with that. So I wouldn't stress over it too much. Maybe shorten your kind of how far you're looking out for to maybe SSL, because it sounds like you're close to it.
Yes, the summary here is enjoy the small goals, the small wins, the smaller jumps than going from GC2 to Pro. That's like a really big jump, and you're missing out on a lot of really, really satisfying achievements
in a positive
way.
Yeah.
If you don't do those first one at a time. But just generally, if we changed like the global, because obviously like you always want to get better than SSL clearly, which is fine. Maybe we can just change the overall objective to let's see how good I can get at this game.
Yeah.
And that's the exact same process. You're still going to put time in, still going to try and do your 6-mans, ranked, free play. Like that, like having a slight twist on that objective now suddenly turns it into a success. It's like an open-ended success.
What it is?
Let's find out how good we can get versus can I go pro? No, and now it's a failure, even though the path is the same.
You're completely right.
Just changing it.
You're completely right. The last thing I want to add is just because it just brought back a very, very vivid memory from 2018 September, like summertime kind of time period, and I just like, and I don't know why that time specifically. I think it's because that was when I hit 1800 for the first time. I turned off VSync when I was on PS4 and hit 1800, and I just realized that the thing I enjoyed about the game was mainly it was hitting the ranks, hitting GC, whatever it was, like super champ, GC, and all this stuff. It was hitting those ranks, but also it was mainly about learning the skill, like learning new skills, like learning how to ceiling shot, learning how to flip reset, learning how to get more consistent with my agils. It was really about the really small progressions like that. And then I guess that snowballs into the actual real big, progressions of hitting ranks. And then eventually maybe going pro. I think that is how it went for me. It's like, you just have to enjoy the small things of the game first.
Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. If you compare yourself to I want to be a pro player, it's
hard.
It's gonna be miserable, because you're obviously, especially if you're GC2, you're a ways away. Whereas if you set up these little goals and you don't think of other people, you're creating your own journey where you're getting better, like you're seeing your own improvement. Whereas even if you hit GC3 but you're still comparing yourself to a pro, it's not gonna feel how it actually should feel, which is incredibly rewarding, because you put in the effort to get better and you've achieved this goal. Where nowadays everyone's just trying to skip all the little things and then just go straight to the big ones, when that's just not how it works.
I never would have cared if I didn't go pro. Like I never would have cared. And it's very easy for me to sit here and say that now, but I just remember I felt no pressure to go pro. It was all fun. Nothing.
Going
pressure.
pro was the most fun. Going pro, the action of starting to see the improvement to being able to compete. One of the most nervous times I've ever been was probably the first time I was ever in a pro lobby, with Garrett in the lobby, when I was just some ranked, probably barely hit GC. And I was one of the it was literally what I think he was streaming. I probably went to his hit a goal, and Garrett probably said, "Dang, this guy's kind of good," and it probably made my month. If you want to be honest, that's how it works. But then that game of me playing with Garrett and seeing that clip was dude, let me, what more can I do? But it wasn't me I wasn't before that I need to get in Garrett's lobby and impress him and do all this. It was the slow progressions of switching to PC, looking at watching Kronovi stream, watching YouTube video, all the little things led up to that moment, which was and then it turned into this like peak moment of joy.
Yeah.
And it was like a happy nervous, where if you're just constantly on yourself about getting better, it's just going to be miserable.
Yeah.
You're just going to hate your life. And it's just,
Or especially if you want to rank up
outlook,
continually, people foolishly, even you guys have mentioned the rank points and loving your MMR. Yeah, everybody wants to go out and see the number go up, even though you can play badly, like you said, Chicago. You play badly and the number can go up. You can play objectively better and the number can go down. Like you need to also lose the I guess obsession with the number for a lot of people and actually just focus on the improvement. Otherwise, you're missing out on what if you had a really good session, hit some mechanics that you've never hit before that you've been working on, but the number went down, so you're sad. That shouldn't be something you're sad about. You should be happy that you've practiced something, put it into a ranked game, executed it well, and actually improved as a player as a result.
Yeah, you got. It's a skill. It's a very big skill to know how to extract positives from an overall what feels like a negative situation. And that is the thing that keeps you improving in a good way. That it allows you to improve consistently. Is your ability to extract positives from overall a bad situation. Like if I have a bad tournament, it's fine because I still did certain things right, and it keeps you level-headed, I think. And yeah, it stops you from just capitulating and kind of blowing up in terms of your mentality. Anyway, Johnny, I think that is enough on that question, right? I think we spoke for about 10 minutes on that, but it's a really good question.
Yeah. I hope you're happy with that, Zinc. Hopefully that was the brutal, harsh, honest answer that you wanted. Hopefully that's given you like some other goals and things that you can work on to make the eventual pro player journey a lot more enjoyable, regardless of the outcome. But yeah, I just looked at a look over. I can't believe that we've gone past 2 hours of this. It doesn't feel like 2 hours to me. I hope it doesn't feel like 2 hours for you. It doesn't feel like 2 hours for me. If you guys are enjoying the longer episodes, let us know in the comments. But I didn't plan this. We did. Yeah. We thought it was going to take a lot less, but then we should have probably seen this coming. Chicago's career is very storied and interesting. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for all of the time you've given to Chicago and all the wisdom you've shared with our viewers. What are you up to next? What can people expect from you? You didn't qualify for RLCS Rally, which means are we going to see you in Last Chance Qualifier? Do you have anything you can tease for that, or is that still just pending?
First of all, appreciate you guys having me. Like you said, this 2 hours was crazy. It doesn't even feel like it. It was a ton of fun.
Appreciate
shooting the shit.
Glad.
Talking ball is always fun. But yeah, more on the LCQ announcement, probably, before the majors, hopefully soon, something
nice.
That should answer that.
Nice. You going to be streaming it or uploading anything from that? Because this is the first ever Last Chance Qualifier for RLCS. This is historic. Are we going to get to see any of your gameplay from that anywhere?
I mean, for sure. That's the goal. I mean, I've always kind of streaming and competing has always been like weird for me, but I definitely think I think that'd be a ton of fun. I mean, I think everybody's going to be doing it. I think this LCQ is going to be awesome content and awesome just experience. It's going to be fun. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I'm sure of that.
Are you gonna have top right Tommy in the lobbies streaming? Chatting away?
Hopefully.
Maybe.
I mean, we'll see what the people say. I don't know. We'll see if the people want Tommy back. But yeah, I'm sure he's still kicking.
There it is, boys. Chicago, once again, thank you for joining us on the Next Rank podcast. This is a podcast, Johnny. We're calling this podcast.
It is a podcast now.
It's the second episode of the podcast. Of course, if you guys want to support Chicago and ourselves and get a great course over at thenextrank.com, use creator code Chicago for a discount. It will be in the description on the top link, as well as Chicago's socials, his Twitch, and other stuff like that. All in the description. So make sure you guys go check it out. If you have enjoyed, drop a like, drop a sub, check out all of our other videos, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.